Let's talk about Airbnb stock. This is a stock that I actually do want to open a position in sometime soon. If you're a stock market course member, you're gonna know exactly when I do that. So if you aren't already in, link down below, the first link. Guys, Airbnb, let's quickly talk about the company. I'm not gonna get too in depth on what exactly the company does because I feel like a lot of people already know. It's like the Uber of hotels. Pretty much on Airbnb, you can pretty much book experiences and book pretty much houses to stay at instead of using a hotel. Now, this is a bit of a twist and a different approach and something that is actually very, I guess, interesting and in a way new, although this has been around for a while. It's, eliminating the concept of hotels and literally people and, you and I, we can literally put our homes on for Airbnb. And if people want to stay a night at our houses, whether that's just a room or whether that's our whole house, they can actually do that. Me personally, I've used Airbnb. As you guys know, I am pretty involved in the real estate field. I have a bunch of people who have, I guess, a bunch of investors who have put their properties on Airbnb. I know certain investors that specifically invest in real estate so they can put it on Airbnb. And me personally, I've been following a lot about Airbnb for the past few years, just being in the real estate industry. And guys, Airbnb is a very interesting company. Like I said, it's the Uber of houses. And one thing that I like about Airbnb is obviously they have a business model that completely is, I guess, like changing and revolutionizing the whole hotel industry. Another thing about Airbnb to note is, and again, this isn't really major, but not only does Airbnb do, I guess, like accommodations, they also have a tab where people can pretty much have experiences. So if you're, for example, someone who knows a certain city, you can say, hey, I charge $50 for the day, and I pretty much will give you guys a tour of the city, or something like that. Okay, now I don't think that's a huge part of their business, but the whole concept is, Airbnb, they have a place where you can pretty much, a marketplace where you can put up your properties, even certain rooms, and yeah, it's a pretty interesting strategy, especially for vacations, right? Me personally, I've used Airbnb before to book out a place, and it's a very amazing app. It's super cool to use, it's super easy, and I think it is something that will eventually be a bit more common. But here's the thing. There is news that came out which kind of led to this 13% increase. The stock is currently trading at $206, but I quickly do want to say the one problem I have with Airbnb, okay, as a company is there is a lot of, I guess, back and forth with, I guess, governments and cities. So for example, where I'm from in Toronto, we have had literally the city say, hey, you are not allowed to put your property or certain properties on Airbnb. Now this is a big problem because this turns into like a regulatory war between Airbnb and the big hotels. Obviously the hotel corporations, we're talking billions of dollars being thrown into this, and people literally buy land, especially in Toronto and major cities, just to build hotels. And if Airbnb comes and takes out this market share, you guys gotta understand, if the cities don't have these huge hotels to sell land to, they're gonna be making less money. And just knowing that, hey, a city can pretty much say, hey, we don't want you to do Airbnb, that does suck. And we have experienced things like that in Toronto, and I believe in most parts, not even most parts, in certain parts of Ontario, I'm pretty sure in Vancouver as well. I know in a lot of parts in the States, there is, I guess, that regulatory war that goes on, which obviously is not a good thing. Regardless, let's get into the news article. I'm just going to be quickly reading off my laptop here. So, Airbnb's revenue declined 22% year over year in Q4 last year. Honestly, guys, that does not mean anything because obviously we were in a pandemic. People aren't traveling. I booked my Airbnb in Q4 of last year, and that was not it wasn't a common thing. Okay, booking an Airbnb during the last year, not really common. When everything does open up and people are allowed to travel, expect travel to be crazy and Airbnb to just skyrocket. This is one of those companies that once we are past the recovery phase of this pandemic, I think it will shoot up, and I think Airbnb can easily hit, depending on how quickly things open up, I think this can easily hit $300 in the next, maybe year or two. Another thing to note is Airbnb actually lost $4.6 billion, but you need to understand a bulk of that was because they did decide to IPO. So actually conducting its IPO costed them around $3.9 billion. So realistically, they only took a, I guess, what is that? What's the math? They didn't take, I can't do the math, but they didn't take that much of a loss, okay? Guys, I strongly recommend going and looking at their financial sheets and honestly going and look at the reportings for yourself. Do your own due diligence. Like I said, this is not investment advice. Obviously, guys, like I said, this is a stock that eventually, once things open up, I can easily see skyrocketing, especially just knowing that Airbnbs have still being, I guess, booked during the pandemic. post-pandemic, guys, especially within the first few like years, people are gonna be so grateful to get out and travel again. I already said like to my friends, I'm like, hey guys, as soon as things open up, we're gonna go. I'm not gonna say where, but we're gonna go there. We're gonna get an Airbnb. We're gonna chill there for like a week or a month. We're just gonna do a bunch of work, and we're just gonna go places and just travel. And guys, I don't see myself if I'm traveling and I have the option between a hotel and an Airbnb. Most likely, I'm gonna be using an Airbnb, unless the hotel is like something fancy, like a 7-star hotel like the Burj Al Arab in Dubai. I'm not gonna be using a hotel. I'm gonna be using an Airbnb. It's just way easier, way more homey, and it's just way more comfortable. And a lot of the times it's even cheaper. Alright guys, I'm pretty much done talking about Airbnb. Like I said, if you guys do want to know when I do, I guess, buy and sell certain stocks, all you gotta do is sign up for my stock market course. It's literally just $100 as a one-time payment, and you will know exactly when I'm buying and selling my stocks. And yeah guys, if you did enjoy this video, if you leave a like, hit that subscribe button, hit that notification bell, and until next time, remember, stay seeking success.